Now, when it comes to indie brands, there is one brand that I started covering on my channel just earlier this year, and I'm actually going to leave all of the links to previous videos that I've done down below. The brand that we're talking about today is called Good Vibes Perfume. They have a fragrance that came out more recently than the other two fragrances, which I also own. This new fragrance is called Whatever. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this fragrance, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's video and I tell you all about the fragrance Whatever by Good Vibes Perfume, I'll tell you what I get from the notes, the performance, comparisons to other popular designer or niche fragrances, so on and so forth. I just want to start things off by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or if you learned something from today's review. So I do have a couple of other fragrances from this brand. I do realize that there's another fragrance called 100 that I haven't reviewed yet, although I do own a bottle of that one. And I had the pleasure of meeting the CEO and the creative director of the brand at Scent Explore recently, and that's when he introduced me to this fragrance. I ended up doing a video for him at Scent Explore. I really did enjoy this fragrance, and there's also something about it that kind of reminds me of another fragrance that I really love, despite the fact that this has a different note breakdown and it does kind of go in its own direction. Nevertheless, I'm excited to break down the smell for you guys as best as I can. Let's start things off with a quick look at the presentation. So the opening of this fragrance was very spicy. As a matter of fact, I got a bunch of spices that are not necessarily listed in the note breakdown. Now, it's not cinnamon or clove or allspice or coriander or anything like that, but it was more in the vein of like saffron. I was pretty confident that I was getting saffron, and as it started to settle down, I actually subliminal or subconsciously, I should say, I started making comparisons to other fragrances that I also own that contain saffron. So I said, wait a second, I'm pretty sure there's saffron in here, but there is incense. So it does have this sort of loud opening that is not necessarily boisterous or rambunctious. It's very controlled, but it's loud nevertheless. So it has this incense and spicy cadence about it in the opening, and once you give it a chance to settle down, this sort of ambery warmth starts to come through. Now, there was always a touch of sweetness present throughout the entire DNA, and I looked at the note breakdown. I see pear, apple, peach, if I'm remembering correctly as well. So there's a lot of fruity ingredients, and the more that I smelled it, I started thinking to myself, maybe I'm getting a touch of pear, but I'm not really getting a lot of fruity sweetness from it, albeit I am getting a little bit of labdanum or vanilla, and there are a few resins coming together to create that amber accord. But ultimately, what I was getting was like this ambery, slightly fruity, slightly floral, heavily spiced amber fragrance. And I even mentioned this on camera when I met him in person, and I told him that this one kind of reminded me of More Than Words by Xerjoff, which is part of the Join the Club collection. That fragrance is known for having this sort of ambery patchouli dry down. This definitely has patchouli in it, and when I revisited it, I realized, okay, yeah, there is actually a lot of patchouli in this, but it has this spicy, ambery personality about it that I can't shake or ignore. Even as I wore it on skin, I wore this one several times in preparation for this review. The spices come through on my skin, the amber comes through on my skin. Now, despite there being incense in here, it's not smoky per se, which is why I'd be inclined to say that I'm getting more labdanum and vanilla than I am benzoin. As a matter of fact, I don't even think benzoin is listed in the note breakdown, but it is used in the synthesis of a lot of amber accords. It's kind of absent in this composition. So you do have this warm, resinous, mysterious, enchanting, enigmatic fragrance, and I really do enjoy that direction that it's going in. Now, that touch of saffron kind of mingles, and it has like this faux leather vibe to the fragrance, and of course, all leather in perfumes is synthetic. There's no way to distill the essence of leather and put it in a perfume. It's really an accord of other ingredients, with, you know, saffron being one of them. But this fragrance does smell very rich, very exotic. It does have that patchouli, sort of a floral vibe. I thought I was smelling rose. Apparently it's not rose, because I looked at the note breakdown and it's not in there, unless it's like a hidden ingredient or something like that. But whatever, is a really interesting cold weather fragrance on the more formal and sophisticated side of things. So if that's what you're looking for, if that's what you're in the market for, I would definitely get a sample of this one if I were you, especially if any part of this review made it sound like this is the type of fragrance that would cater to your personal tastes. Go on the official website and just get a sample. I love it when brands give you the opportunity to do that, so you're not spending over $100 on a fragrance that you might potentially not like. So you can actually get a sample from the website. All links are going to be down below. They're not affiliate links. This is not a sponsored video. I'm not getting paid anything for this video, nor do I make any commission from you making a purchase from the Good Vibes perfume link down below. I just want to bring it to your attention, and also having met the creative director and CEO of the brand, he's a really nice dude, so I really wanted to do this for him. And at the end of the day, I think it's a great scent. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now, first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I do find this fragrance to be pretty unique. I know I compared it to More Than Words by Xerjoff, and there are some other amber, patchouli, spicy fragrances out there that kind of bleed into one another. So I do find it to be unique despite those other fragrances that I could potentially compare it to, because it has some elements in the note breakdown that are not found in the other fragrances. In terms of the overall smell, it is kind of for niche connoisseurs, just because it is a bit on the darker side of things. That's why I would say sample it for yourself. It's not a mass appealing compliment getter like Dior Sauvage or Bleu de Chanel, basically. In terms of longevity, 9 to 10 hours on my skin. Projection was great for the first hour of application. It did radiate a little bit beyond an arm's length. It became an elbow's length scent right around hour 5.5 or 6. It became a skin scent right around hour 9 or 10. Great performance. Versatility, perfectly unisex, great for fall and winter, great for formal as opposed to casual scenarios. And somebody who's a little bit older and a little more experienced would appreciate this fragrance versus a newbie or somebody who has only like 1 or 2 bottles in their collection. In terms of the presentation, very simplistic, very minimal, just a cardboard box, but the cap does click into place. The atomizer on it is pretty good as well. My final verdict on this fragrance is, if you are looking for an amber patchouli fragrance with a bit of spice and a touch of sweetness, ever so slight sweetness, check out Whatever by Good Vibes Perfume. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.